A life devoid of fasting and meditation is a life doomed for pain and suffering. That's my humble opinion. Now, when I make this statement, I'm not saying 100% of this applies to 100% of humans. It may not apply to you, but in my humble opinion, it is likely that as a long-term strategy, mind you, this, as a long-term strategy, it is quite likely that you watching and most people watching or not watching, if they don't fast and meditate regularly as a habit, as part of their daily, or let's call it regular life, as something you do, like, when you walk every day, you get up and you walk, you don't think about it. This is what I'm talking about by involving fasting and meditation into your life. So, for instance, just an example here, if you intermittent fast and you do it long term, a year, 2 years, you don't think about it anymore. You simply just do it. You simply just do it. Just like Nike says, right? You don't think about it, it's part of your life. And so this is an example. Same thing, if you have a meditative practice and you just do it at a certain time, having a certain time to do meditation is good because you develop a habit. Second nature, you don't think about it anymore. Now, there are periods, we've all had periods in our life, we were doing neither of these two things. But they were wonderful periods in our life. There was something going on that really invigorated us, stimulated us. Maybe you met a girl, a guy. Maybe you got your dream job and you weren't meditating, you weren't fasting, but you were feeling on top of the world. Correct. We've all had that. But I am talking about a long-term sustainable strategy for a life well lived, for sustainable well-being, rather than the roller coaster of life. Because things happen in our life, let's call them quote unquote good things, desirable things, and they take us high in the sky. But on the other end of it, there comes the going down, and then I think a lot of us tend to start to look into things like meditation and fasting and other things too, cold showers, etc., in those times of trouble. And fair enough, and they're helpful. But if you want to minimize the impact of the low times, and if you really, really want to also enhance the ecstasy and the bliss of the good times, you might as well just make this part of your life. Up or down, right or left, any direction you go, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what the external is, those two things being a habit. Because let me tell you something, and why do I say, why I made this statement early on, right? Which is, a life without fasting and meditation. And I'm particular about those two particular things. A life without fasting and meditation is a life doomed for pain and suffering. Why do I say that? Why do I make that statement? Well, if you don't fast, when I say fast, I'm talking about water fasting of some sorts, right? Water fasting, no intake of calories, or no juice fasting. That's called juice fasting because you're fasting from everything but juice. I'm talking about water fasting here. Water fasting is a whole different ball game. Right? It's a whole different ball game. You're gonna get older, and you're going to develop physical conditions. Those are the laws of nature. If you eat the wrong foods, like most of us did growing up and maybe even until now, and combine that with the absolutely terrifying modern lifestyle we've all been V'd up every hole in your body, got something put in it that is toxic to your body when you were a kid, when you were a teenager. There is a great deal of accumulation of toxicity. I mean, in the air, right? I am privileged here to be living in the mountains where I do have clean air, but for the majority of my life, I had some pretty bad quality air. So if you combine everything, we can go on and on about all the toxic things, the EMFs, the harmful EMFs and everything. You're gonna need to fast sooner or later. That's my humble opinion, right? Very humble. You're gonna need to do some fasting sooner or later, and you could do it in levels. You could do intermittent fasting in the beginning, and then you do a day, 2 days, 3 days, 7 days, 10 days. Yeah, you're gonna need to do it sooner or later. My humble opinion, because you underestimate more than likely your potential. Really, I'm gonna just say it, your potential. We're supposed to all be like children as adults in terms of energy. Do you remember when you were a kid? I remember when I was a kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, and as the corruption went on, I lost it. Man, I couldn't sit down because I had so much energy. I'm serious. When my mom would recite assignments and things to study and tests, when she would, help me prepare, I couldn't sit down. So I would be jumping up and down in the room and on the couches. We had like couches everywhere. So I'd just go jump, 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 jump. Because I had too much energy. I'd go play football for 3 hours, and then I'd come back, and then I'd be so energetic. I'd go play some video games because I'm really excited, and then move around some more, go see my friends. Like, it's crazy. You guys all know what I'm talking about because you were all kids at some point. That's cosmic energy. That's our birthright, to have that vibrant cosmic energy. And how many of us now have it? Not many, very few. Because nature takes its course, the laws of nature. If you corrupt your body, if you mistreat it, if you break the laws of nature, karma, reaction, and action, you take the action, reaction, consequence. So, in my humble opinion, everybody needs fasting, and not just intermittent fasting, but fasting as part of the lifestyle. If you live in a more toxic environment, you probably need more of that. And then meditation. Okay, so you don't fast, you're gonna have some pains, growing pains in your body. Sooner or later, time catches up with you, and you lose that inner childlike energy that you were born with, that you've experienced if you go back to your childhood. And then meditation. Why meditation? Because our minds, for some reason, I can't figure out why, are monkey minds. They're just constantly thinking. We're a global culture addicted to thinking, and I am just as much guilty as anybody else, believe me. We think, always in the past, always in the future, analyzing. And we are not present enough, and we create problems. Most of our fears is false evidence appearing real. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And how much time and energy do we deplete ourselves of thinking and creating non-existing fears, right? So that's why I say, for the modern human, a life, as a rule of thumb, right? It's not a law, but as a rule of thumb, a life devoid of meditation and fasting is a life doomed for pain and suffering sooner or later. Now, or when you're 40 or 50, 60. Okay, that's about it. And I will see you guys in the next video.